Imagine driving through one of America's most remote wildlife refuges. You expect to see untouched nature. Instead, hidden among the landscape stands a strange steel structure. No giant spinning blades, no towering mast stretching hundreds of feet into the sky. Just a massive funnel pointing toward the wind, silent, weathered, and abandoned. At first glance, it doesn't even look like a wind turbine. Yet just a few years earlier, this machine had been introduced as the future of renewable energy. Its creators claimed it could generate electricity using a fraction of the land, cost dramatically less to maintain, protect birds from spinning blades, and even produce power in winds so gentle that conventional turbines couldn't operate at all. It sounded less like an improvement and more like the next evolution of wind power. Major conservation organizations believed in it. Military installations agreed to test it. Investors poured millions into the company. The technology was protected by real patents. Everything about the project suggested it was on the verge of changing the industry forever. And then it vanished. Today, many of those installations still exist, not as successful clean energy projects, but as silent monuments to one of the most ambitious promises renewable energy has ever seen. So what happened? How does a company backed by respected institutions disappear almost overnight? Did the technology never work? Were the claims exaggerated? Or did something much deeper bring the entire project crashing down? To answer that, we have to go back to where it all began. In 2010, a mechanical engineer named Dr. Darish Ali founded a Minnesota startup called SheerWind. Unlike many inventors chasing small improvements, Ali wasn't trying to build a better wind turbine. He wanted to eliminate what he believed was the biggest weakness of wind power itself. Traditional wind turbines all share the same basic design, a tall tower, massive rotating blades, and a heavy generator mounted hundreds of feet above the ground. That design had worked for decades, but it also came with expensive problems. Every major repair required specialized cranes. Maintenance crews had to work at dangerous heights. The massive blades placed enormous structural stress on the tower. And as wind farms expanded around the world, growing concerns emerged about bird and bat collisions. Ali believed those weren't isolated issues. He believed they were symptoms of a flawed design philosophy. Instead of lifting the machinery higher into stronger winds, why not bring the wind down to the machinery? That single question became the foundation of everything SheerWind would build. The company's answer was a patented system known as Invelox. On paper, it looked surprisingly simple. Instead of placing a giant rotor high above the ground, the system used a large funnel-shaped intake to capture wind over a broad area. As the air traveled through a narrowing passage, it accelerated before reaching a much smaller turbine, safely positioned near ground level. The concept relied on a familiar principle of fluid dynamics. Just as water speeds up when forced through a narrower pipe, air can also accelerate when guided through a carefully designed channel. If that acceleration worked efficiently, a smaller turbine could theoretically produce far more power than its size suggested. The advantages sounded almost too good to ignore. Ground-level maintenance, smaller blades, lower construction costs, reduced land requirements, better protection for wildlife, and potentially much cheaper electricity. If those promises proved true, decades of wind turbine design could become obsolete almost overnight. That possibility attracted attention far beyond the renewable energy industry. Within only a few years, SheerWind wasn't just talking about prototypes. Real organizations were willing to put the technology to the test. One of America's most respected conservation groups agreed to install an Invelox system on protected land. The Michigan National Guard placed several units on its own facilities. For a young startup, this level of trust was extraordinary. These weren't computer renderings shown to investors. These were real installations built on real sites by organizations whose reputations depended on making responsible decisions. To many observers, that looked like powerful validation. If respected institutions believed in the technology, why shouldn't everyone else? Momentum grew quickly. News outlets highlighted the invention as a breakthrough. Industry publications discussed its potential. The company expanded its patent portfolio. Investors continued supporting development. From the outside, everything appeared to be moving exactly as successful innovations are supposed to. But beneath the excitement, one set of numbers began attracting more attention than anything else, numbers that seemed almost impossible. SheerWind wasn't promising small improvements. The company claimed its technology could fundamentally outperform conventional wind turbines. According to its projections, Invelox could generate electricity at dramatically lower costs while operating in wind speeds that left traditional turbines standing still. It projected remarkably high efficiency, lower installation costs, lower maintenance costs, less land, smaller blades, and a payback period that would make many renewable energy projects look expensive by comparison. If accurate, these figures wouldn't simply make Invelox competitive, they would redefine the economics of wind power. Investors saw opportunity. Government organizations saw innovation. Conservation groups saw a solution to one of wind energy's biggest environmental criticisms. Everything seemed to point toward the same conclusion. This wasn't just another experimental concept. It looked like the future, but history has a way of separating impressive ideas from proven engineering. Because while the public was celebrating the promises, a small number of engineers started asking a much more uncomfortable question. Not whether the idea sounded impressive, but whether the numbers were actually possible. And that question would change everything. For several years, the story surrounding Invelox was almost entirely driven by optimism. The patents were real. The prototypes existed. Respected organizations had agreed to host the technology. And the company's performance projections were being repeated across articles, presentations, and industry discussions. From the outside, it looked like another breakthrough, slowly making its way toward commercial success. But engineering doesn't reward optimism. It rewards evidence. And eventually, someone decided to look beyond the headlines. The first question. Nobody had asked. Independent engineers weren't interested in promotional videos or investor presentations. They started somewhere much simpler. The numbers. Every engineering claim eventually comes down to mathematics. Power output, wind speed, dot efficiency, energy conversion. If those numbers don't agree with the laws of physics, no amount of marketing can save the design. So researchers began comparing SheerWind's published performance claims with established principles of fluid dynamics and wind energy. At first, nothing looked obviously wrong. The concept itself wasn't impossible. In fact, using ducts or shrouds to guide airflow had been studied for decades. Universities had researched similar ideas. Engineers understood that carefully directing airflow could increase local wind velocity under certain conditions. There was nothing revolutionary about that principle alone, but then the calculations became more detailed. And that's where the first cracks appeared. The question was no longer, can air accelerate inside a funnel? Everyone already knew it could. The real question was much harder. Could it accelerate enough to produce the extraordinary performance SheerWind was promising? Those are two completely different questions. And according to independent analysts, the answer wasn't encouraging. At the heart of Invelox was a simple idea. Capture a large amount of slow-moving air, compress it into a smaller passage, spin a turbine faster than the surrounding wind could. On paper, that sounded logical, but real airflow isn't as cooperative as a diagram. Air has mass, pressure, turbulence, friction, and perhaps most importantly, it always chooses the path requiring the least resistance. For the funnel to work exactly as advertised, enormous volumes of air had to keep flowing into the intake continuously. But creating that flow requires a pressure difference. Without enough pressure pulling air through the system, much of the wind simply moves around the outside of the structure instead of entering it. Ironically, the lower the wind speed, the harder it becomes to maintain that pressure difference. That was especially important because low wind speeds were exactly where SheerWind claimed its greatest advantage. The company's biggest selling point was also where engineers believed the concept faced its greatest physical limitation. One independent engineering analysis compared SheerWind's own published figures with conventional wind turbine performance. The results surprised many people. Based on the company's own reported numbers, the analysis suggested the system wasn't dramatically outperforming traditional turbines. It appeared to be performing dramatically worse under the assumptions required by the published claims. The issue wasn't a small disagreement. It suggested that the advertised efficiency simply couldn't be achieved under real operating conditions. If those calculations were correct, the technology wasn't a revolutionary leap forward. It was attempting to overcome physical limits that conventional wind turbines had already learned to respect. And suddenly, the conversation changed. No longer, how quickly can this replace existing turbines? Instead, can it actually produce the electricity being claimed? Those are very different discussions. For years, the company had been telling the world what the technology was expected to do. Now engineers wanted something much simpler. Proof, not simulations, not projections, not estimates. Measured electrical output from real operating systems. And that's where another problem appeared. The company had installed several demonstration units. From a distance, that looked impressive. Photographs showed large funnel structures standing on real sites. Investors saw visible progress. News articles described successful deployments. But building equipment is not the same as proving performance. When researchers looked for independently verified electrical output from those installations, very little could be found. Several prototype sites had progressed only to construction and airflow testing. Only one installation reportedly reached what the company described as a pre-commissioning evaluation stage. Even then, there was no publicly available independent dataset confirming the extraordinary commercial performance that had attracted so much attention. That absence became increasingly difficult to ignore, because extraordinary engineering claims require extraordinary evidence, and the evidence simply wasn't appearing. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of the story. Many people assume that because respected organizations were involved, they must have verified every engineering claim. That's not necessarily how pilot projects work. Organizations often agree to host experimental technologies precisely because they are experimental. Hosting a prototype doesn't automatically certify its long-term commercial performance. The Nature Conservancy saw potential environmental benefits. The Michigan National Guard explored possible energy applications. Neither organization existed to independently validate every aerodynamic calculation behind the design. Their participation demonstrated interest. It did not guarantee success. That distinction would become critically important later, because many people interpreted those partnerships as proof that the technology had already been validated. In reality, validation was still supposed to come afterward. By now, the excitement surrounding Invelox was beginning to collide with something far less forgiving than public opinion. Reality. Investors were waiting. Commercial customers were waiting. Independent verification was still missing, and time was running out. Within months, the company would face a problem that no amount of publicity could solve. Not criticism, not skepticism, money. For years, SheerWind had been selling a vision, a future where wind turbines were smaller, cheaper, safer, and dramatically more efficient than anything already on the market. The concept attracted attention, the patents attracted investors, the prototypes attracted respected institutions. But eventually, every startup reaches the same moment, the point where expectations must become measurable results. For SheerWind, that moment never truly arrived. As independent criticism continued to grow, something else quietly stopped growing. The company's momentum. The headlines became less frequent. Announcements slowed. Commercial deployments failed to appear. The revolutionary technology that had promised to reshape wind energy seemed to stall without explanation. Outside, observers began asking a simple question. If the technology worked as advertised, where were the customers? A breakthrough capable of producing cheaper electricity would normally spread rapidly. Utilities would compete to install it. Manufacturers would race to license it. Governments would fund large-scale deployment. Instead, none of that happened, and silence began replacing excitement. Then came the moment no technology company wants investors to see. Not another press release, not another prototype. A legal document, one that revealed the company's true financial condition. And unlike marketing materials, bankruptcy filings don't tell stories, they reveal numbers. The end of SheerWind. In December 2017, SheerWind's parent company filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. According to court filings, the company reported millions of dollars in liabilities while listing virtually no remaining assets available to continue operations. Its website had already stopped updating. Its business phone had gone silent. The company that had once promised to redefine wind power no longer existed as an operating business. For investors, the story was over. But for the prototypes, it was only beginning, because no one came to remove them. The machines that never left. Some technology failures disappear completely. Factories are demolished, equipment is recycled, products vanish from memory. Invelox didn't. Several installations were simply left where they stood. One remained near Chaska, Minnesota. Its large fabric intake gradually deteriorated under years of exposure to weather. Others stayed on Michigan National Guard property. Another remained on the remote Palmyra Atoll Wildlife Refuge in the Pacific Ocean. Visitors who encounter these structures today aren't looking at the future of renewable energy. They're looking at unfinished promises, silent reminders of what people once believed was possible. Nothing dramatic happened to them, no public dismantling, no ceremonial farewell. They were simply left behind. And in many ways, that's even more revealing. But perhaps the most surprising part of this story isn't that the company failed. Startup failures happen every year. The real surprise is how many people still misunderstand why it failed. Some assume the technology was deliberately suppressed. Others believe powerful industries prevented it from reaching the market. The historical record tells a different story, one that's far less mysterious and far more important. Was it suppressed? Whenever an ambitious technology disappears, theories quickly follow. If an invention promises cleaner energy or lower costs, it's tempting to assume someone powerful must have wanted it gone. After all, history contains genuine examples of innovations that faced political resistance, commercial pressure, or regulatory obstacles, but every story deserves to be judged on its own evidence. In SheerWind's case, there is no credible evidence showing that governments, energy companies, or competitors secretly shut the project down. Instead, the available record points toward something much more straightforward. The company made extraordinary performance claims. Independent verification failed to support those claims. Commercial adoption never materialized. Funding eventually disappeared, and without revenue, the business collapsed. That's not a conspiracy. That's the harsh reality every engineering company eventually faces. Ideas alone aren't enough. They have to survive independent testing. One of the biggest misunderstandings about innovation is the role of patents. Many people assume a patent proves an invention works. It doesn't. A patent simply protects a new idea. It says the concept is original enough to deserve legal protection. It says nothing about whether the technology performs as advertised. History is full of patented inventions that never became successful products. Some were ahead of their time, some were commercially impractical. Others simply couldn't achieve the performance their creators believed they could. SheerWind became one more example of that distinction. The company had patents, it had investors, it had respected partners, it had media attention, but those things are not substitutes for independently verified engineering results. And that's the lesson this story leaves behind. Ironically, Invelox wasn't remembered because it changed renewable energy. It was remembered because it reminded engineers of something they've always known. Physics doesn't negotiate. Markets can be persuaded. Investors can be convinced. Headlines can generate excitement. But the laws governing energy remain exactly the same. Every claim, no matter how exciting, must eventually answer to measurement. Today, the abandoned funnels scattered across America aren't monuments to a conspiracy. They're monuments to ambition, to the optimism that drives innovation, and to the unforgiving process that separates promising ideas from proven technology. Because in engineering, belief can start a company, a patent can protect an invention. Investors can finance a dream, but only independently verified performance can change the world. And in the end, that was the one thing SheerWind could never produce.